Namaste students. Let us start with the next chapter, that is accounting treatment of GST. See class 11. Till now you have learned how to pass various journal entries, whether they are special entries, banking transaction or any simple entry. Fine. But now we are going to start with the next chapter. Before starting this chapter, I would like to give you its brief explanation or brief history. Let me start with a short story. Once a child has gone to a restaurant with his father. They had dinner over there. When they asked for the bill, the child was shocked to see that so many taxes were charged on their expenditure, like on the amount of goods and on the amount of the goods which they had in the form of dinner. So much of, or rather so many of taxes have been charged on that amount. Then the son asked his father that, Papa, why we have to pay so many of taxes? You are paying taxes on your income, that is income tax, and now you are paying taxes on expenditure also. Expenditure means kharche, jo hum kharche karte hain. Then the father replied, there are two sorts of taxes, my son. One is the tax on income and the other is tax on expenditure. So now look at the board. As I told you, one is taxes on income and other is taxes on expenditure. It means every person has to pay some tax to the government on the income earned by them, and that tax is known as taxes on income. But we also have to pay some tax on the expenditure also. But now you must be wondering that we haven't paid this tax on expenditure to the government. Rather, we have paid this tax to the restaurant owner because he has included the tax into the amount of the bill. So it means firstly though we should understand this thing, that taxes are of two types. One is tax on income and the other is taxes on expenditure. Taxes on income we pay to government, directly to government. It means if I am earning a tax, it means person is paying income directly to the government. If I am getting some income, then I have to pay tax on my income but directly to the government. It means that such taxes are known as direct tax, which a person who is earning the income is directly paying to the government. And obviously the tax of income is known as income tax. So what we can understand out of that income tax is a direct tax which a person is paying to the government. He is earning income and he is paying tax on that but directly to the government. That's why the income tax is a direct tax. But now you are not only paying taxes on income but you are paying taxes on expenditure also. It means suppose if you buy some food, or if you buy a car, or if you buy any luxury item, or if you buy some medicines, or if you buy some clothes or shoes or anything, then also you have to pay tax. So it means such taxes are known as taxes on expenditure. And how these taxes are accounted? First of all, the person who has incurred the expenditure. Suppose if I have incurred the expenditure, if I have gone to restaurant or if I have gone to watch a movie, then I am going to pay the tax to the factory owner or the restaurant owner. Fine. So it means we are going to pay the tax to the seller from whom we are buying the goods and services. Fine. And the seller is going to pay the same tax to the government. So can't you see that one more layer has been added? In case of taxes on income, the person is directly paying the income to the government. It means that there is no intermediator, no layer between them. But in case of taxes on expenditure, the person is paying the tax to the seller from whom he has purchased some goods and services, and the seller in return is giving the tax to the government. It means that one more layer has been added. It means we are paying tax to the government but in an indirect way. That's why the taxes on expenditure is known as indirect tax. The taxes on expenditure is also known as indirect tax, and taxes on income is known as direct tax. Now, like a time was there when we had to pay so many of taxes. means before 1st July 2017 we were paying excise duty, central sales tax, service tax, VAT, octroi, purchase tax, entertainment tax. These many taxes we were paying before 1st July 2017. Some taxes are charged by state government and some taxes are charged by central government. Now you know what is state government and central government. You have already done all these things in class 10 civics. So some taxes like excise, GST and service tax was charged by central government, and octroi, value added tax, which is known as VAT, or purchase tax or entertainment tax was charged by state government. Now when we had to pay so many of taxes, then what had happened that time, the goods used to become very costly, because the seller is going to charge so many taxes from us, which results in increase in the cost of the product, and it becomes costlier for us. And moreover, when so many taxes were charged, it becomes very difficult to account them also. It becomes very difficult to learn their accounting treatment. That's why after 1st July 2017, what happened? We subsumed all these taxes. Subsumed means that now excise duty is no longer used, CST is not charged, service tax doesn't exist, VAT doesn't exist, octroi, purchase and entertainment tax. Now all these taxes, they don't exist in reality, because all these taxes have been subsumed under one tax, which is known as GST. Which is known as GST, means goods and services tax. It means that now we don't charge excise, CST, service or so many things. We are charging only one tax, which is known as GST. That's why GST is also known as one nation, one tax. Now, like earlier there were so many indirect taxes, but now there is only one indirect tax, that is GST. Now, as the name suggests, goods and service tax, it means that GST is charged on goods as well as on services. Now, what are goods and what are services? Goods means the things which are tangible, like which you can see, which you can touch. Like if you go to market and you buy some shoes or clothes, then these are goods, because you can see, you can touch them. But if you are going on a holiday, means tourism, if you are going to take some tuitions and all from school or from somewhere else, it means these are educational services. If you are going to some hospital, then they are giving you health services. It means services are those goods which can't be seen. Fine. So the things which can be seen, they are termed as goods, and the things which can't be seen, they are termed as services. So it means, what we can conclude, that GST is not only charging, is not only chargeable on goods, it is also chargeable on services. Now we don't charge any of these tax, rather we charge only one tax, which is known as goods and service tax. It means that this tax was applicable or came into enforcement on 1st July 2007. I hope till this point is clear to all, that tax means the compulsory payment which we have to pay to the government. Now either we are paying taxes on income or we are paying taxes on expenditure. Taxes on income we are directly paying to the government, so no layer in between. But indirect taxes, first of all, the person who has purchased the goods is giving to seller, the seller is in turn giving to the government. So now all the indirect taxes have been subsumed. Subsumed means वो सब उसमें मिल चुके हैं एक ही tax में. Now all these taxes are the part of only one tax, that is GST. Fine. So whenever you go to any mall or watching a movie or anywhere else, just try to check the bill. In that bill you will see that GST is charged. But merely introducing this thing that we have to charge tax has solved our purpose? No. The government has also should decide this thing, that what percent of GST will be charged on what goods. So now let us discuss about the rate of structure of GST. Rate of structure. So what is the slab rate? Slab rate is either GST is charged 0% or GST is charged 5% or 12% or 18% or 28%. So these are the various rates, either 0, 5, 12, 18, 28. 0 is the least one, it means no GST, and 28 is the upper limit. Fine. Now the government has to decide that on what type of goods and services 0% should be charged, on what goods and services 18% should be charged, and on what goods and services 28% is charged. Because we can't keep the same rate of interest on all the commodities. It depends upon the need or the importance of the commodity before charging the GST. So the government decided this thing, that essential commodities like milk, food grains or something, no GST will be charged on these things. But if you go for to a restaurant for having dinner and lunch, then you have to pay GST. But if you buy milk or vegetables from any vegetable seller or somewhere, you don't have to pay GST on that. So it means that some goods are tax free and such goods are essential commodities. But some goods are there on which we are charging the maximum rate, that is 28%. And these goods these goods are luxury items and hazardous goods like tobacco, alcohol. So on such goods the maximum rate of GST is charged. Why? So that they become costly and people, they try to consume it less, because such goods are not good for the health at all. It means that the rate of charge of the GST depends upon the type of the goods and services. So the GST is charged on goods as well as on services, and the rate depends upon its importance. Fine. And availability also. The goods which are not important, they are hazardous to health, maximum rate is charged, and the goods are which are essential for survival, they are taxed. So I hope the rate of GST is also clear to you. Now let's move on to the next topic. Yes students, now start with some features and advantages of GST. The first feature is a comprehensive tax. See, GST is a comprehensive tax. Comprehensive means which includes a lot many things. As I told you in the previous video also, that under GST all the indirect taxes have been subsumed. It means that now we don't charge any indirect tax separately, rather all the taxes have been combined under one tax, that is GST. That's why it is a comprehensive tax. Then GST is charged at a uniform rates. Uniform rate means that the same rate is applicable on the same category of the goods in all the states of India. Let me just give you, or let me tell you in a simple way, that suppose if 28% GST has been decided on luxury goods or any hazardous goods like alcohol, then the rate will remain 28%, then the rate will remain same in all the states of India, whether it is Punjab, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat, everywhere. But before the introduction of GST, when we used to charge central sales tax or value added tax like VAT or CST or anything, then it was decided by the state government that what charges do they like to, or what percentage of tax did they like to charge. But now the rate has been decided and the same rate is applicable on the goods of same category in all the states of India. It means that now there is uniformity. Otherwise in the previous era, if Gujarat is giving 4%, it might happen Punjab gives the same goods by charging 2% tax. But now it's not like that. Then next is GST is not a cost, GST is a value added tax. To make you understand these 2 points, let me give you one example. First of all, I would like to tell you that GST is paid by the one who purchased the goods and is charged by the one who is selling the goods. It means it is paid by the buyer and collected by the seller. Fine. And secondly, it is a destination based good, destination based tax also. Just try and understand with this example. A purchased goods for ₹1 lakh from B. It means A is the buyer and B is the seller. It means A will pay the GST, fine, and B will collect the GST. Got it? So now if I say the rate of interest is 10%, Rate of GST is 10%. Just to make the calculations easy, I have taken rate at 10%. Otherwise, 10% rate is not under slab rate. You know it is 0%, 5%, 12, 18 and 28. Just to make the calculation easier, I have taken 10%. Now A is going to pay the tax. It means A will pay 10% on this 1 lakh. It means A will give 10,000 to B and B will collect 10,000 from A. Now what will happen? A has purchased the goods for 1 lakh. Now what A has done some value addition on the goods. Value addition means, see, whenever you go to buy some garment from any mall, then the shopkeeper, do they give you the raw piece of cotton or they give you a complete dress? I think they give you a complete dress only. Fine, because you have gone to the market to buy a dress. Obviously, the seller will give you a dress only. No, the seller will not give you buttons, clothes, or thread, and they don't tell you to stitch the dress on their end, on their own, and you wear it. ऐसा तो नहीं बोलते. Fine, तो होता क्या है कि whenever seller, जैसे suppose in this case A has purchased the goods, then what A will do? A will sell the goods in the market, but after converting them or after giving a new shape to the goods. Like suppose if I have a sweet shop and if I buy some milk, then obviously if I have a sweet shop, then I will use that milk as an ingredient in making the sweets. No, I will not say this thing to my customer that you take sugar, take milk and go and bake sweets at home and then you eat it. No, what I do, I try to change the shape of the raw material and try to convert the raw material into the finished goods. So now here A has also done some expenditure. A ने कुछ खर्चा किया, कुछ ऐसा एक्सपेंस किया जिससे गुड्स जो है मार्केट में सेल होने की कंडीशन में कन्वर्ट किए गए. So what A did, then A converted the goods so that the goods can be saleable into the market, and now A is selling the same goods which he purchased from B to C. By mistake I wrote here B, it should have been C. अब A ने क्या किया? A purchased the goods from B. No, now A converted those goods into some form. Like suppose अगर A ने cotton buy किया, then what A did? A converted that piece of cotton into cloth. A ने machines के through उस cotton से cloth बनाया, उस पर printing, designing किया, stitching किया, so that A can sell the garment in the market. And now while converting the cotton into the dress, A has to incur some expense. Now see what A is doing. A is selling the same goods to C for rupees 1,50,000. 1 lakh का purchase किया and A is selling the goods at 1,50,000. It means 50,000 rupees is the value addition. Means the amount spent by A to convert the cotton into a form of dress. So that 50,000 is the value addition. Now if A is selling goods to C, then A is the seller and C is the buyer. It means C will pay tax to A and A will collect the tax. Now how much tax A has collected? A has collected 15,000. Now I would like to come on this point that GST is not a cost. See, the tax paid by A was 10,000. The tax collected by A is 15,000. So now what A will do? A ने जितना tax collect किया है, A उस tax में से जितना tax A ने pay किया था उसे recover करेंगे. It means now A will not give 15,000 to government. Rather what A will do? A ने जितना tax pay किया है, A इस जितना tax उन्होंने collect किया 15,000, उसमें से 10,000 वो अपने पास रखेंगे and A will deposit the rest 5,000 to government. So what we can conclude from this point, the GST is not a cost. No doubt earlier A had paid the GST of 10,000, but A knows this thing that when he will sell the same goods to somebody, then he also will collect the tax, like 15,000, and then he will recover the tax which he had paid. It means that this 10,000 is not the cost incurred by A. ये उसके लिए cost नहीं है. Rather this 10,000 is an asset for A. because A knows this thing that sooner or later he is going to recover this payment. And how did he recover? That when he sold goods to C, he collected tax of rupees 15,000. Out of this 15,000, first of all he keep rupees 10,000 with himself, because earlier he had paid rupees 10,000. Now he will keep 10,000 out of this 15,000 with himself, and he will deposit only 5,000 to the government. Now suppose A sells goods to C, no? So we assume that now C sells goods to D. Now who is selling goods and to whom? C is selling goods to D. It means now C has become the seller and D has become the buyer. It means now D will pay tax to C and C will collect tax from D now. Now suppose C purchased the goods at rupees 1,50,000. Now again C has done some value addition. Again C has made some changes into the product, and now he is selling the product at rupees 1,60,000. Means he purchased at 1,50,000 and he is selling at 1,60,000 to D. So obviously if tax rate is 10%, then GST paid by D and collected by C will be 16,000. If I am saying that C is the seller, then C will collect the GST. So it means GST collected by C, and who is going to pay? D. So GST collected by C from D is 16,000. Now again the same story will be repeated. In the previous case, C has paid the GST. In this case, C has collected the GST. So what C will do? कि C ने जितना GST पे किया means 15,000 और जितना GST collect किया 16,000, वो अपना GST recover करेगा. It means C has collected 16,000 and 15,000 he had paid. तो पहले 16 में से वो 15 अपने पास रखेंगे and 1,000 C will pay to the government. So what we can conclude out of this illustration, that GST is charged on value addition, and value addition means the expenses incurred to make the goods saleable in the market. So GST is a value added tax. Now see, actually how much tax have been paid? Actually 5,000 and 1,000. Only 6,000 rupees have been paid to the government in the form of tax. So the first and the biggest advantage is GST leads to decrease in the cost. If you talk about the previous era, no, तब पहले क्या होता था कि tax पर tax charge होते थे. Fine. In the previous era, see the accounting treatment of the taxes in the previous era is not in your syllabus, so I'm not going to touch that topic. But you need to understand one thing, that due to GST the cost of production has decreased. Now as we don't have to pay multiple taxes, we are paying only one taxes, so it is ease of doing business also. Now things have become very easy for us, cheaper for us. Accounting treatment has also become very simple, so now it's very easy to start up a business and to run it. Then reduces tax evasion. Evasion means चोरी करना. आप खुद सोचिए, जब टैक्सेस ज़्यादा होंगे ओनली देन द पीपल विल थिंक ऑफ सम वेज कि हम टैक्स को कैसे चुरा सकें. बट नाउ एज आई टोल्ड यू दैट ड्यू टू डिक्रीज इन द कॉस्ट because of lesser taxes, the cost has been decreased because now we are paying only one tax, so the chances of tax evasion has been reduced. I'm not saying this thing that now all have started paying taxes honestly. No, it's not like that. But at least now few people have stopped evading the tax. And tax evasion means tax ki chori karna. And the last of all is easy filing. See, in the previous era, when lot many taxes were charged, then we had to file so many documents to pay number of taxes. But now only one tax we are charging, so tax filing has become very easy. Means the method or the procedure of making payment to the government as a tax has become simplified. So I hope this example is clear to you. Features and advantages are also clear to you. See, in class 11 we are not going to touch this topic in detail because we are going to do only the simple facts. So now let us start with the numericals. Thank you.